I'm Symphony Privet. Thank you for joining us here on Featured. We hope to inspire or simply make you smile with some uplifting stories across the country. A moment of compassion was caught on camera from a 12-year-old girl in New York. The video was shared on social media, which caught the eyes of more than 50,000 people online. Robert Hackford shows us how the girl's actions are feeding her neighbors in need.
And we really don't got food at the house, so if you see anything you want, always take it if you really need it. No, you just don't take a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gratitude is a two-way street that on Rowley Road in Depew starts at this little food pantry.
Things like that do not happen.
With an act so simple and kind.
Oh, mac and cheese. I actually need mac and cheese.
That Dawn Buck, who started the pantry 8 years ago, had faith in her mission restored.
She realized, listen, there might be 3 boxes of macaroni and cheese in here, but I'm only going to take 1 because the next person who stops is going to want to eat also. And she's 12 years old.
A young girl wise beyond her years that many can learn from, Buck says, that she and other neighbors have started returning her kindness.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so there's burger on the bottom and then there's steak.
Collecting donations, including mac and cheese, for her family who, like many, quietly may need help.
I just wish people realized how many children, though, are stopping at the pantry now. Things have changed drastically.
A need that is everywhere, but for those that are passing down this street can bring some relief.
Because of those kids. That's exactly why I do it. That's exactly why, even though bad things do happen, I think about kids like that that really, really need me to be here. So that's why I do it.
That was Robert Hackford reporting. Now, life is full of surprises, and that is definitely the case for one man in Texas. He went from not knowing how to cut hair to running his own barbershop. As Brendan Cote explains, it's a career he never saw coming.
God has made this a plan for me, and this wouldn't happen if he didn't want me to have it, and so I'm going to jump head first.
And that he did. Well, more like cut first.
What got you first into cutting?
COVID happened, and I needed haircuts, and all the barbershops closed.
Fletcher picked up a pair of scissors.
I started looking at YouTube at how to cut hair, and I started cutting my own hair and kind of enjoyed it.
Igniting a passion he never knew he had in him.
I get to see a different side of people than what I was used to dealing with before.
Fletcher joined the Marine Corps, where he was deployed in Iraq in 2008 for 7 months, then joined the McLennan County Sheriff's Office before working as a barber at another shop for 4 years.
The Marine Corps kind of opened my eyes and kind of made me a man.
Hiring 2 other veterans as barbers wasn't even on purpose for the new business owner.
Just turned out they were both veterans. I was like, perfect.
It just happened naturally.
It's a different society with veterans and normal people. You know, there's a different understanding between each other.
Building a brotherhood with each shave in every client they serve.
You have a connection with each other just because you know we've all been through some kind of struggle.
He says it's a bit scary to open your first barber shop, like for any new business owner, but says he knows it's the right path for him.
I'm also kind of relaxed about it because I know that this is meant to be.
That was Brendan Cote reporting. From people who travel across the Appalachian Trail to the businesses around it, the hiking community is a tight-knit group. Ryan Yee takes us to a town in Pennsylvania that offers hikers more than a pit stop. They make them feel at home.
A central Pennsylvania town embraces the hiking community like no other.
Being a friendly trail town is something that everybody in Duncannon is really trying to achieve.
Duncannon Perry County is one of a handful of towns that the Appalachian Trail passes right through. And in that town, you'll find businesses like Lindgren Craft Brewery, the only brewery located directly on the 2,200-mile-long AT, who buy into the tight-knit hiking community.
Hearing the stories, getting to meet people that I wouldn't have the opportunity to meet anywhere else. And they're coming in, we get to sit down, have a beer together, and they go on their way, and being able to give it right now is really important to us.
Understanding the challenges through hikers face on their journey, Lindgren Craft Brewery does what they can to help hikers get to their next destination.
When I got to Duncannon and I found out, actually I came in here with my pack on, and they said, "Are you through hiking the trail?" I said, "I am." And she said, "Here's a token, I've got a free beer for you." So those things really lift your spirits and keep you moving forward. It's incredibly amazing that trail angels is what they call people on the trail that are there to help you out. And to get that cold beer that was made so well was a very big treat for me.
A small gesture that goes a long way.
Oh, it's right up there at the top. I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, I'm going to dream about that beer that I'm having right now for a long ways up the trail.
And one that is not so uncommon in a trail town like Duncannon.
The community's behind you. It's like, you know, you'll walk right through the town and people say, "You a thru hiker?" And, you know, they'll give you a hand or whatever.
That was Ryan Yee reporting. A marathon runner has put in decades of dedication, countless miles, and is still going. At 67 years old, she isn't just taking strides, she's inspiring others. Terry Gilliam sat down with the senior athlete to learn what keeps her chasing the finish line.
I love running. I'm like physically connected to it because it really helps me to stay fit.
That's 66-year-old Joni Knighty from Orange Park. She's a psychotherapist and hypnotherapist by trade, but laces up her running shoes on her free time.
It feels amazing and a little bit shocking, to be honest, because I never visualized this happening in my life.
Knighty didn't always love exercise, but in the early 80s, she joined co-workers for her first Gate River run. She trained with her older brother, Tom. But that same year, he died in a car crash.
You really don't always grieve, you know, the way you're supposed to or know what to do with that grief. And I just decided that I was going to make it a positive. So I ran the Gate River Run every year in his honor.
Knighty continued running to help with her grief and to honor Tom. Now running has led her to have a lasting love for the sport and emotional healing. It's even led her to the big stages.
Always expecting to go my personal best or better. Yeah, that's always in my mindset.
But for her, these games are about more than medals. It's about movement, mindset, and motivating others.
So that is the big picture, is just to continue to be in a mentor relationship with the athletes. I want to inspire, I definitely want to be inspired.
That was Terry Gilliam reporting. Now we're checking out a new kind of surfboard that's now changing how people ride waves. It is called e-foiling, which is said to make you feel like you're flying. Jeff Zeppeli hit the waters in San Diego to try it for himself.
Many kids who grew up watching the Jetsons dreamed about flying cars, but my friends and I, we always fantasized about motorized surfboards. E-foiling isn't new, but the boards are more responsive and powerful than ever.
It's like riding a magic carpet, honestly. You're flying above the water, you're completely weightless. All the stress of your day-to-day life just completely goes out the window.
Kyle Newman from Sindit says just give your board a charge and away you go.
The furthest that I've gone is 26 miles.
And up to 35 miles an hour. I'm thinking about wearing a wireless mic, which is pretty expensive. Do you think I can keep it dry?
No, you will not keep it dry. You will be getting wet today.
I decided to follow Kyle's advice. My first time e-foiling. What could possibly go wrong?
Nothing. We're going to get him flying, get him stoked.
Sam Deacon from OC Foil will communicate with me using a wireless headset. I hear your voice in my ear.
Yeah.
I feel like we're launching a rocket ship.
Yeah.
T-minus 7, 6, 5. Once in the water,
straddle on.
You do blast off.
Go to 2 or 3.
First on your stomach, then on your knees.
He has to keep all of his weight forward while giving the board more power.
So far, so good. It's a delicate balance.
Oh, he got on foil. Oh, and there he goes. He's flying.
That can quickly lead to a nosedive.
We call that the bucking bronco.
I got bucked off. A second, third, and fourth time. Oh, but just a few minutes later,
You got it, Jeff. You got it.
things started to feel more comfortable.
Now you can see the board is on plane.
Flight boards start at $9,000, but
Pull it, Jeff. There you go.
you can pay for excursions and lessons like these. After about 10 minutes, it was time for me to stand up.
He's as stiff as a board.
Sam told me to loosen up and give the board more power, which led to this. But seconds later, I was back at it, fist pumping with confidence.
Yeah, he's done it. And this is the moment.
Sort of, because just when you think you're invincible, a wipeout is waiting. Just like learning how to water ski or surf, it's all part of the fun. And I took quite a few spills before finally feeling like I was the king of the world.
And just like that, he's hooked.
My advice, give it a go. And always listen to your instructor.
I'm really glad I didn't wear the wireless mic.
In the Zeppeli zone, Jeff Zeppeli.
Wow. All right, we have much more for you ahead on Featured. Coming up, a community is spinning stanzas square by square. We share an interactive approach to poetry that uses a Rubik's Cube, plus a heartwarming story of food, family, and culture. We'll introduce you to an author who used a beloved tradition to write a children's book. And a bit later, this 9-year-old is motivated. See what we did there? We'll tell you why he is on a mission to cut grass free of charge. Welcome back. Now, as I've mentioned before, I love to read, so we're going to showcase 2 books that you might enjoy. The first one is about the power of kind words. Kara Neer sat down with the author in Atlanta to talk about it.
Hi, Tracy.
Hi. So nice to be here.
It's so nice to be with you. I have to tell everyone, I'm a little embarrassed because I was blessed in meeting Tracy this morning, and you came in and I said, your book has been on my desk since January. It's called The Power of a Few Kind Words. And I said, my dad, who's no longer with us, oh my gosh, that's what he would say. He wanted for his birthday, for any holiday, he would say, you know, I just want a few kind words. And you said to me, what?
I said, that's exactly why I wrote the book. Yes. My dad would say anytime he was asked for what he wanted for his birthday or Christmas, he said, all I want is a few kind words. And in all of my speaking across the country about this mission in this book, I haven't met one person who said, my father said the same thing.
It's kismet this morning. It truly is.
It's beautiful.
And I even just scanning the first chapter, so many similarities between our lives, I feel like. So make sure you get this book. What made you, okay, let's get to, there's so many gems in here that I've already found, but what makes you feel like a kindness ambassador? What makes you feel like spreading kindness?
Oh my goodness. You know, I was going through a really hard time in my life. I had a difficult work situation. I was caring for my aging mother, doing a lot of advocating for her and driving 3 hours to see her. Every time you pick up the phone or turn on the TV, we're bombarded with negativity.
Exactly.
And I sort of out of the blue developed an autoimmune disease. And I felt like that was all stress induced. And I just decided that to conduct this experiment. And I said, if a daily dose of stress can cause a sort of physical and emotional decline, what would happen if I chose to put intentional kindness on my daily to-do list and be very intentional about it? And so I challenged myself to write a handwritten, unexpected letter of appreciation every day for a year to a different person.
Tracy, how did you find, how did you start that? How did you find 365 people to write to?
That's the question that I most often get.
Yes.
And I would say that any of us can do that if you actually choose to take on this crazy mission. But I actually did sort of a brain dump in the beginning, and I wrote down everybody I could think of. You know, closest intimate circle of family and friends, college friends, high school friends. I even went back to elementary school. My parents' friends, people I volunteered with, my neighbors, and I probably got to 100. But then, really, I think almost the most fun group of people was that I would write to people that I didn't know, but I had a positive interaction with, like the barista who made me the most amazing chai latte I've ever had, or the woman who ran the jury room at the Mercer County Courthouse, and I had a nice interaction with. And it was just incredible. Every time I wrote these letters, if I happened to hear back from them, the reaction was so much more, so exponentially more than I thought it should be.
Right.
And it was the people were telling me over and over, I've never received a letter like this. In all of my years, no one has taken the time to tell me what they appreciate about me. And it touched my heart, it broke my heart to realize that we rarely share with people our kind thoughts.
And why handwritten notes? Why are those more
so
important?
I'm a big proponent of that. You know, I do really believe that handwriting is not a lost art, and there's something incredibly nostalgic about handwriting. And you know, when you would go to your mailbox and among the bills and the circulars, there's a handwritten letter, right? You feel this sort of energy boost, like, ooh, who has written to me or why? And I think, you know, if you recognize the handwriting, like I bet you can conjure up the handwriting of your dad right now, or your siblings or your best friend in high school. And it changes the energy around you. And I also think, you know, a handwritten letter doesn't get thrown away. If someone's taking the time to write you kind and loving thoughts about yourself, you're saving that letter. And, you know, an email or a text is great,
right?
But it's
not the same.
I think that there's something different.
Tracy, thank you for writing this book. We're out of time. It's such a gift to us all. I'm your new #1 fan. Thank you so much for being here.
That was Kara Neer reporting. Now, our next author was inspired by his family's tradition of making tamales during the holidays. So he transformed his family into the main characters in his newest children's book called The Last Tamale. Darcy Ramirez has the story in Texas.
Every Christmas Eve, Orlando Mendiola had one job: to spread the masa during his family's tamalada.
I'm not going to say I'm a pro at it, even though I've been doing it since I was a kid. My grandma always made the masa, the meat, and everything, so every Christmas Eve it was like an all-day thing, and then by midnight we would be eating fresh tamales.
It's a family tradition that's become the inspiration behind Orlando's first ever children's book, The Last Tamale. The book follows 3 kids who compete in a battle to see who will win the family's last tamale.
I wanted it to be a story that felt like authentic to me and like my experience, but also to the experience of so many people.
In 2021, during a Zoom class, Orlando pitched the idea, and editors from the publishing industry took notice.
It's always been a dream of mine to be an author, to write a book, and I never thought that this would be something that would happen to me.
Orlando said it was a fun experience to write about his family, especially his abuelita, who passed away a few years ago.
You know, you never forget your grandma, and you never forget your abuelita, and yeah, that's my favorite character.
And he says the community response has been amazing.
To see the kids excited about the tamales, and to see that they not only liked the book but also related to the book was so cool and just so much fun.
That was Darcy Ramirez reporting. Adam Sandler brings back one of his most iconic characters. We hear from one of the background actors who is sharing details about working with the comedian in Happy Gilmore 2. Also ahead, an elk walks into a gift shop. It sounds like the start of a joke, right? But it really happened in Colorado. A bit later, reaction from the shoppers. Welcome back. The 90s are seeing a resurgence in Hollywood, and now Netflix is teeing up for nostalgia on the golf course. Adam Sandler is bringing back Happy Gilmore for round 2. Many celebrities have cameos in the sequel, including Bad Bunny, but there are some unknown faces hitting the screen too. Emily Kress chatted with an extra from Pennsylvania who says he gave Adam Sandler a few pointers to perfect his game in between takes.
The Greens here at the Honesdale Golf Club are ready for a round of golf, but instead of playing, Brian Wilkin of Honesdale is talking all about a movie centered around the game.
Happy Gilmore. Happy Gilmore. Happy Gilmore.
He even made the cut in one of the movie's trailers.
Yeah, baby!
He says being on set for upwards of 10 or more hours a day gives you an appreciation for the finished product.
You're running through these emotions. You're going like 0 to 60, 0 to 60, but to see all the camera angles and there was a drone. This one huge drone came down and took a picture of the green where I was.
One day on set between takes, he says he had the opportunity to give the movie's star Adam Sandler a few pointers on how to putt.
You got to go 3 cups out there. You're cutting it too short. And he goes, okay, 3 cups out. And he hit it too hard. It rolled through it. I got too much wang. You got to take some wang off of that. So he hit it, and it went right in. He's like, I'm the golf savant. I don't know what to say.
Wilkin says this movie marks his 8th film standing in as an extra.
That was Emily Kress reporting. Here's a quick look at what's coming up next. A veteran with a dedication to service. She shares how her duty goes beyond the military uniform. Plus, practice makes perfect. How one student used his knack for mechanics to make a roadside rescue. Thank you for staying with us here on Featured. I'm Symphony Privet, and we are continuing to bring you some uplifting stories across the country. You know, it's not every day you meet a kid with a lawnmower and a mission. One 9-year-old in Texas is doing yard work for a cause that is close to his heart. Ayana Aird shows us how he is stepping up to take on a nationwide challenge using a lawnmower.
Meet Jesse, a 9-year-old with a big heart and a mower to match.
I feel very happy.
We were going down the road here in Mount Enterprise, and there was a yard that needed to be done, and Jesse asked, why can't we help people mow it if they can't get out and do it?
So now that's exactly what he's doing. Jesse's taking on the 50-yard challenge, a nationwide movement encouraging kids to mow 50 lawns for those in need, from veterans to single moms and people with disabilities.
Jesse has some learning delays, and so he's hands-on for everything. So it helps him learn to concentrate a little bit better and to help him learn to stay on task a little bit better.
More than anything, this challenge gives Jesse something special, the joy of giving back.
So he's been giving back and helping people ever since he could walk. If he can help them in any way, it makes him happy.
So happy, he shows it in his yard work.
I'm famous.
When he hits 50 yards, Jesse already has a plan to launch Jesse's Helping Hand Lawn Service, mowing lawns for free for veterans, the elderly, and others who can't afford it.
As long as he gets to keep helping, that's all he cares about.
Yeah. It just made me feel good. Yeah, I'm famous.
In Mount Enterprise, I'm Ayana Aird.
A teenager in Virginia applied what he learned in auto class outside of school. Now, he saw a woman stranded on the side of the road and turned around to help. John Doran shows us how the teen made a lasting impression on the driver.
It's my happy space, I guess. It's the best word I can think of.
For 2 years, he's been under the hood in Chantilly High School's automotive classroom.
Gotta make sure those click.
Last month, he put this practice into play.
I'm about 15 minutes away from home around Chantilly High School, and my car starts to shake, like jerk. And of course, I was caught off guard, and I decided to get off the main road.
Elizabeth Malenga pulled over, ready to call roadside assistance. Desai was driving behind her.
So I turned around, I went back, opened my window, and she opened hers. And I asked her, is everything okay? I saw you stopped over there. She said, I'm not sure, and my car started shaking, I got scared, so I wanted to pull over.
Then he asked to open her hood.
I was able to diagnose misfire, and all I needed to figure out was which cylinder was misfiring.
And so as we began to talk, I'm like, wow, he's in high school. Does he really know what he's doing?
Desai's diagnosis was right. He grabbed the parts, made the repairs, and Malenga was on her way.
I was sold at that point. I'm like, wow, this kid is an angel, and he brightened my day.
The two stayed in touch. Malenga found her new favorite mechanic.
I have full confidence in him because I brought my car again.
It's a hobby he'll keep practicing, just in case he can help someone else get back on the road.
That was John Doran reporting. Om says working on vehicles is just a hobby. He actually plans to go to medical school. He says diagnosing a person is a lot like diagnosing a vehicle. Alrighty, moving on to Arizona now, where a former Army National Guard soldier is driven by her desire to help folks out, from supporting her fellow veterans to feeding the homeless. If there's a need, she wants to fill it. Caribe Divine sat down with her to learn more about her passion for giving back.
Gabe Forsberg is baking something special.
We're going to have a baby shower. These babies of veterans, whether it's a mama who's the veteran or the dad.
Gabe has been helping veterans for years.
You know, you throw your duffel bag in the closet, but your service doesn't end there. There are still things you can do.
She served just over 2 years in the Army National Guard in the 70s, back when there weren't a lot of women serving in the Guard.
I was in northern Louisiana and going to school and thought this would be kind of a fun thing for me to be able to earn money like a man.
She says her male counterparts made her experience on base a good one.
They were all very protective of me. I had a very nice experience. I was the only female and young, so it was really, I felt a little pampered in my fatigues and my boots.
Now she's helping veterans in need through organizations like Army Women United and the Jewish War Veterans, just to name a few. She's helped the homeless through the annual Maricopa County Stand Down event.
And we would serve hundreds of women who were homeless. In my mind, it was just a national disgrace that we have any veterans who are on the street. It's a horrible situation. So getting those vets connected with the services that they've earned is a really powerful way of getting them back on track.
From putting care packages together for active duty members to helping women veterans, Gabe is showing no signs of slowing down.
It is so healing to be able to do something that's good for someone else. That's my happy place. I intend to spend as much time as I possibly can and making as big a difference as I can in that community.
That was Caribe Divine reporting. Now, Gabe says if you want to make a difference in a veteran's life, you can always volunteer or donate to different organizations like the VA. Now, veterans with ages ranging from 83 to 99 years old received a once-in-a-lifetime experience in the skies. The nonprofit Dream Flight offered them a seat on a fully restored World War II-era biplane in Pennsylvania. The organizers say it is their way of saying thank you to those who once served our country.
I hope it's conveyed that dreams can come true, and that when you are 100 years old or 2 years old, life continues to show experiences if we are open to that.
Dream Flights has honored more than 7,000 veterans living at senior facilities since 2011. A golfer in Pennsylvania is not letting her age get in the way of her swing. Check her out. She was born the same year that the Star-Spangled Banner became our national anthem. That's 1931. Courtney Harrison shares how she's still on par and also is beating some of the younger competition.
Charlotte Possinger tees off at Glenbrook Golf Club in Stroudsburg 3 days a week. It's a sport she's played since she was about 25 years old.
Most people don't believe I'm 93. I said, yeah, that I am. Yeah. Come on down so I don't have to walk so far. Some days I don't feel it, but some days I really feel it.
Even when she does feel it, Charlotte says she still gets up, exercises, and comes to the course to play 9 holes, driving a cart instead of walking the course like she used to. Her body may not be as young as it once was, but her spunk and competitiveness haven't aged one bit.
Sometimes I play with some of these guys, and I really play good because they don't play that good. Some of them do, some don't. Oh, come on. And I don't care if I hit it or miss it. I love it. If you play your age, you know, you're good. Well, I got a lot to play. I don't have to worry. I'm 93, you know. I thought to myself, why didn't you come on Friday of last week? That's when I was really playing good. Probably the next time I go, I'll be good.
Even if she is having a bad day on the course, Charlotte says there's not much, other than maybe a bad weather day, that will keep her from playing 9.
No matter how old, I'm going to be 94 in September. And hopefully, I'm still playing.
That was Courtney Harrison reporting. Colorful cubes in Pennsylvania are teaching people about rhythm and rhyme. Sydney Nallman shares how a new public art project is breaking down barriers with blocks.
In Lancaster, a new public art project is taking shape one word at a time.
On the face of each cube is a different word.
Based on the Rubik's Cube, this poetry puzzle has endless solutions.
The intention is for the viewer of the sculpture to go up, manipulate the cube, and create their own three-word, three-line poem.
Lancaster-based artist Thundercat says it was her passion for poetry that sparked her first interactive public art piece, The High Cube.
It's what's called a palindrome poem. A palindrome could be read forwards, backwards, up, down, diagonal, in every direction.
And the hands-on approach is about more than public interaction. It represents breaking an art barrier one block at a time.
Poetry is not a medium that everyone is entirely engaged with, either because they're not taught it in school, they don't have access to it. So having these cubes was really, the best way to deliver poetry to the community in a low barrier, low entry way.
Spinning stanzas square by square, the High Cube sparks storytelling and self-expression.
Poetry is everywhere. And poetry can be whatever you want it to be. You are the person that is writing the poem, so you get to make it whatever you want it to be.
That was Sydney Nallman reporting. A curious elk decided to do more than just a little window shopping. It was spotted wandering inside a Colorado gift shop, and we've learned that wasn't its only stop. Amanda Gilbert has the story.
Because it's nuzzled right next to Rocky Mountain National Park, elk sort of run this town.
Yeah, then that's us. Trying to sell her something, maybe.
And elk did some casual shopping at Sweatshirt Center.
She's looking for a shirt for rutting season.
Owner Elsa Guaquil says security tried scaring the shopper away with noise.
Like making a lot of noise, and then, yeah, she would not go away. There he is, like with the spoons and everything. Yeah, nothing.
But the elk didn't seem to be done with shopping just yet.
He stopped right by here. And I took my video from the corner, this corner.
Security was needed more than once. This time, a large stuffed animal at Ichashakia's store came to the rescue.
Go away, this is not your place. It's funny, she just stands there and just like looks around and just, yeah, stares at stuff.
Some shop owners say this happened last week too.
But yeah, she's a returning customer, so we love those. In the store? In the store.
These locals just want visitors to watch out for the other, well, locals.
You really want to keep your distance, and people were very close.
Who knows, maybe the elk just took this sign too literally.
Our store name is A Gift for Everyone. Now elk is store too.
That was Amanda Gilbert reporting. Families in Connecticut enjoyed a unique experience. Look at this, pig yoga. 5 years ago, Michelle Burns got a pet pig and brought it to a friend's classroom. Now, the students there loved it, and after posting about the experience on social media, she received messages asking her to bring the pig to 2 different events. Well, now she has 5 pigs and travels with her husband, Terry, bringing the animals wherever they're requested.
It's just so much fun, and I love that my pigs are having a good life, and I love to share with other people. They're just really precious, emotional beings, and they're kind of just like a dog.
Here's a fun fact. One of her pet pigs, named Sprinkle, has already gone Hollywood. It was featured on the show Only Murders in the Building, starring Martin Short and Selena Gomez. Wow, I'm gonna have to look out for that episode. Alrighty, don't go too far. We will be right back with more featured after this. Still ahead, a social media star is bringing attention to businesses on the verge of failing, why she's using her influence to make a real-world difference. Plus, a cocktail that captured the heart of a city. How it became a bar's signature drink, loved by many, including an NFL team. Welcome back. A New Orleans-born influencer and entrepreneur has millions of followers on social media. Her name is Supacent, and she's using her online buzz to support struggling businesses in her hometown. And as Whitney Miller shows us, her stamp of approval isn't just a shout-out, it's a lifeline.
No, sweet tooth fairy. Shakarion Johnson is a fairy, a sweet tooth fairy whose magic was on the verge of fizzling out. Her dessert shop tucked away in New Orleans East was struggling. until a local influencer cast a spotlight and changed everything.
I was looking to close down the business because it's been extremely slow.
Johnson opened the Sweet Tooth Fairy late last year, pouring more than $30,000 into building it from scratch. But getting customers in the door wasn't easy.
That was the main issue, is that people didn't know that we were here.
Then Supercent saw a screenshot of Johnson's private conversation about closing up shop and decided to act.
So I'm like, well, let me try to see what I could do. So I grabbed my kids and we went over there and we had an amazing time.
It worked. By the weekend, Johnson was sold out.
They sold me out, so I've sold out more than once, actually.
A few neighborhoods over, the team at St. Noir Cafe also got a sip of the super effect.
It showed about 80% of her followers had not even heard of St. Noir.
She's not trying to sell anything. She wasn't trying to sell anything for us. We weren't paying her. She was just really being real. It's some good stuff. Y'all need to come try it.
For Supercent, who still lives in New Orleans, it's about community.
My goal is to shed light on businesses because I have a business and I know firsthand how life-changing support could be.
She calls it the super effect, but it's more than a moment. It's a movement.
It's not about going viral at all. Like, people need to understand, like, it's about visibility. It's about giving everyday people a shot to thrive just like I had.
From nearly closing to lines out the door, turns out a little love from Super can go a long way. In New Orleans, Whitney Miller.
Great story from Whitney Miller. Now let's grab a drink in Minnesota now. A spontaneous moment between coworkers created a cocktail that would pour into a city for 3 decades. Sam Fisher takes us to a bar where the Minnesota icon is made.
On the corner of First Avenue and 5th Street is a place where Minnesota legends are remembered and others
It was a slow Saturday afternoon.
Are born.
Probably when I die, it'll be on my gravestone that here lies the inventor of the grape ape.
That pleasant purple drink.
So it's just Absolute Citron, sweet and sour, splash of Sprite, and Buddy's grape soda.
Got its start right here.
Me and Danny Baker, 2 of us, 1995.
With Marcus Dorn.
Thanks, you guys.
At the Loon Cafe.
Danny and I were just messing around one day on a Saturday afternoon, and the grape one we ended up calling the grape ape. A little splash of Sprite. And the orange one is the orangutan.
Together with his friend and coworker Danny, an idea became an icon.
Hands down, the drink that we make the most of. And it just kind of came together in an afternoon moment of brilliance.
That over time grew larger than life.
That's the grape ape. When they first really became popular, there were a couple Viking players, Chris Walsh and Mitch Berger, the punter, that would come in here after the games on Sundays and would literally buy them for, if the Vikings won, they would buy them for every customer in here. I mean, they were ordering them 100 at a time.
From Humble Home and Metrodome to Skull and Salutations.
And it just, I think it was all word of mouth at first, and it just became more and more popular, but it did not take long for them to become the signature beverage here at the Loon.
More than just a cocktail. The Loon's Grape Ape is community.
Here we go.
A legend born, legends made.
That's how you drink a Grape Ape.
Yes, I
That was Sam Fisher reporting. We'll be right back with more Featured. Coming up, a fairy tale wedding. Look at this. A lucky couple got to have their happily ever after with hundreds of strangers cheering them on. We get the backstory to the romantic union that took place in a library. Welcome back. We're taking a deeper dive into a real-life love story that took center stage at a library in Virginia. The ceremony was complete with vows, book-themed decor, oh, I love this one, and hundreds of unknown guests. Sean Martinelli gives us a closer look at their storybook romance.
At the Arlington Public Library, there hasn't been this much hype since Harry Potter. Strangers came together for a new release destined to be a classic, a nonfiction love story you won't find on the shelf. To find out how we got here, we first have to introduce you to our protagonists, Katie Letty and Vincent Bauer.
Our story begins in Chicago.
They were college classmates.
I had time between classes, and Vincent would come sit on the bench next to me between classes, and I was like, I don't know what he's doing here on this bench.
Over 13 years, they journeyed from that bench to this couch. Katie fell in love with Vincent's lowercase mannerisms, while Vincent found someone who writes her life story in bold.
Fierce and smart, a little bit feral.
Together, they co-authored a romance. From the chapter where they lived apart to the one where they moved in. From getting a dog to learning about a contest. A contest for one library-loving duo to tie the knot here.
So we are hosting a wedding.
All expenses paid. Programs librarian Brittany Veland says 50 couples applied.
They were the only couple who were super jazzed about having their wedding open to the public. There's a lot of alienation and loneliness that we're kind of trying to combat as a public library, and so we thought, what brings people together more than a wedding?
People turned pages into decorations, sign-out sheets into greeting cards. One wedding turned into one great display of community.
Savvy love stories is my favorite kind.
There's so much anxiety and strife around here. It's like reading a good romantic book to see something like this happen.
Regardless of me knowing them, I know love and I love love. So it's a beautiful thing.
If you can all please rise for Katie and Vincent. Good afternoon, and welcome, Katie and Vincent, your families and your friends, and patrons of Arlington County Public Library. I'm certain many of you only intended to pick up a hold, and you find yourselves in the middle of this gorgeous ceremony.
A ceremony where the guests are much more than a footnote. They represent one of the greatest acts of love. It's when we show up for those we know and to those we don't.
So my promise to Katie is this. I'll keep leaning into her boundless energy, her enthusiasm, her joyful need to grow and explore, and I'll keep loving all the ways she helps me become a better version of myself.
I promise to be fierce and loyal and a little bit feral, as you recently described me in a public-facing interview. And last but not least, I promise to keep trying every day with you.
And with that, a new chapter in Katie and Vincent's story starts.
We do.
Then let's make it so.
That was Sean Martinelli reporting. I love that for the couple because I love libraries, and it's a nice space to, have a memorable wedding and have all those people there support them. All right, a couple in the Philippines, they weren't going to let anything spoil their special day, not even a flood. All right, let's take a look at this video here. Oh my goodness, not the dress in the flood waters. Well, they proceeded with the ceremony even though the water was nearly up to their knees. Oh my goodness, this was all due to some heavy rain in the area. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I would be sick if my wedding dress was submerged in water like that. Now the newlyweds, they both agreed, hey, it was a bit of a challenge, but it was one they wanted to overcome together. And as someone who is planning a wedding right now, I'm getting married in a couple of months, there's a lot of money that goes into it, and it's like once things are set up, you just want to go with the plans. But that couple is off to a good start. They're not going to let struggles beat them. All right, that is it for Featured. Until next time, make it a good one.